I think it's on. I hit the wrong button. I think it's on. All right, so since
No
we
music?
don't have the
No.
fancy music queued up because Mike's not here, I guess we can just roll into things. Unless somebody wants to find fancy music and play fancy music. I think somebody just listened to country something rather. But I'm going to paste the link in here for everybody to follow, the 3 people that watch, and then we should be good to go.
Are we up to 3 viewers?
I'm not sure. I don't know, remember where I can look to see that number. Including myself, we have 1 viewer. So, but I just sent them the link, so we'll see how that goes. Usually people watch it throughout the week, so I have to tell people to subscribe to the YouTube channel because a lot of people have been asking me, like, so has the podcast, like, stopped? And I'm like, where the fuck have you been for the last year and a half? So I have to figure that out. Or maybe I'll get better at switching it to SoundCloud so that people can listen to it. But anyways, so this is season 3, week 3, and the title of Game of Thrones that season, that week, is Walk of Punishment. I can't think of anybody that deserves a walk of punishment more than Jeremy, as he's not been on here for the last 5 or 6 podcasts. But I do have Jeremy, House Reed, co-commissioner, with us tonight. How are you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing all right. Nice to be here. Sorry I can't make it as often as used to, but family life's hard.
Are you rocking a goatee? I have to trim mine up too. I have to get a haircut.
I always have a little bit of...
Oh, I always thought you were clean shaven. Speaking of rocking the goatee, Fred Travis of House Greyjoy was really interested to see what kind of statistics you have for the podcast tonight.
Well, I'd like to start out by congratulating House Greyjoy in setting a new record for most points scored over 3 weeks of the season, beating the old record held by House Greyjoy.
How do you look up like just any 3-week span?
You just have to look at the standings or the power rankings of previous seasons.
And it shows like the highest of the 3 week.
Yeah, each week is a separate link through the standings list.
So did you know to go look for that, or did you stumble upon that while looking for something else?
No. I knew I was coming up on 150 points per week on average and wanted to see where that stood. The old record was 410 or 411 points through 3 weeks. Scoring is massively up this year across the entire league. So
it is.
I just wanted to see where things stood.
All right.
But
so
I have some fun little things to add a little later on too.
Speaking of scoring, we can just get into things and run through the scoreboard from this past week. Mine is blank because this lovely scoreboard decides to show up and not show up.
I cannot figure out. I thought it was when games were being played, but it just seems like it's random when it works and when it doesn't work.
It's almost easier to go to the recaps page.
If I knew where that was, I would go into it.
Reports, franchise, fantasy recaps.
Yeah, this is stupid. Report, franchise, fantasy recap. All right, so we'll go this way.
MFL reports
does not work. All right, so on my recap, the first battle.
Oh, but this doesn't show benches.
If you go to, what am I looking at? Fantasy recap. If you scroll down after the scores, you should see. What am I looking at? I'm at the wrong place. Weekly results. I'm sorry. Franchise reports. Franchise weekly results.
Stupid ass scoreboard.
And that gives you
reports, franchise, weekly. What am I looking for?
Weekly results.
Or results, sorry.
Weekly results. All right. Oh, here we go.
I mean they scored worse than the previous week?
Or worse than what they were projected.
Oh, okay.
All right, so my first one on here is House Reed and House Bolton. I think on last week's show, everybody gave this to House Reed because of the quarterback play. Tyrod Taylor didn't really help out Bolton much, so Easy win, not a whole lot to discuss. I don't know if this was your first or second win of the season, Reed, but congrats to you on the layup.
It's my first, and I'm actually kind of pissed because I didn't mean to start Duke Johnson, and I just somehow I missed this league when I was setting my lineups before Thursday night's game, and because I had planned to switch him out for Gio and then have one of my receivers in instead, and then I saw after the game was already going that I had Duke in. I was like, well, shit. But then I glanced at Bolton's lineup and I thought, oh, I guess I'm okay either way.
So at this point, are you just trying to start the entire Packers offense?
Yep, I'm making my way there.
Okay.
Or like ex-Packers. I think House Swan has Jordy Nelson. You could add Jordy Nelson. I don't know who else there'd be. But yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. Do you have Aaron Jones? Is he back this?
I do have Aaron Jones.
Look at that.
And Ty Montgomery.
And Deshaun Kaiser. I need to pick up.
You
I
need
think
Jamal Williams. You need somebody
to taxi.
Somebody to trade Jimmy Graham. You probably need to grab Jimmy Graham.
I don't like starting Packers tight ends. That's the only thing.
I mean, at this point, you just need to do it for the ambiance.
For the lulz.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going this way, you might as well push it all in.
I mean, he has Geronimo Allison too. Like, you just need to do that 1 week. Just start them all. Just start once you're because I know you're. I got to
play the Bills this week, so
once you're eliminated, I just want 8. Well, we can't do 8 because I want 7. Well, I guess you could do 8, but I want at least 7.
I think you can start all 8.
Yeah, you could, but you have to bench Luck, and at that point, it'd be stop in. But I'd like to see 7, at least 7 Green Bay Packers because I think you have enough to do it. You've got Rodgers, Adams, Cobb, Jones, Montgomery, Allison. Yeah, that's 7. That's it.
And
you start
Scandling on my.
Yeah, so you can rock a whole squad of Green Bay Packers. Yeah. Anyways, Bolton's team. He got some points, though. Did better than I thought he would be. Tyrod Taylor, essentially.
Mike Williams went off.
So. That's terrible. Mike Williams has scored 2 touchdowns, I think, every week since he traded away Julio Jones for Williams and Goodwin, or whatever, Godwin. So that's good on him. Dallas Goedert on his bench had a big week. Maybe that's just a fluke, or maybe that's their bum quarterback Wentz came back, and that's who he likes to throw the ball to, the tight end. So
as long as they don't have receivers, he has to throw it to somebody.
Yeah, so that's interesting. It's not really the best core group kind of put here together, young wise, but I mean Godwin, Williams, Goddard.
It's fun that he has Rosen, who's going to start now just as soon as Tyrod is done, so he can still start a valid lineup every week.
Yeah, that was convenient for him.
So a nice young core group there that with I think he's got 3 or 4 firsts, so it'll be interesting to see how that team probably next year beats House Reed.
Probably.
Stark and Forrester, this game was absolutely ridiculous. I think we all kind of wrote off Stark's team. I know I did. There's no one really fancy there other than Dalvin Cook. He's been out for a couple of weeks. He now has Josh Rosen, another guy getting Josh Rosen. We just talked about that. So he'll have, I think, 2 quarterbacks.
I have both Rosens in my division. That sucks.
Yeah. So he'll have 2 quarterbacks, so his team will get a little bump there. But 38.75 from Ridley. If Jesse James was the one the tight end on Monday night that went for 112 and a touchdown, Stark upsets Forrester, and that would have been amazing.
That would have been awesome.
Did James drop a pass? Did he miss something yesterday? I thought I have him in another league, and I was trying to pay attention. I think this could have been, if not for an opportunity or two.
And Dante Pettis only getting 0.05 of a point.
That's not easy to do.
No, I get it. There's no even stat line. That must have been on some kind of return or something. You get 0.05. What do you do? Return for 3 yards?
One punt return yard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else. I get he probably should have started Jordan Wilkins getting the start for Indianapolis with what's his face out. But then again, I wouldn't have started Calvin Ridley either. So made the good start and made a bad start there that cost him. But moving on, we've got. I think we talked about this one on the podcast last week. I don't remember who was with me. I think it was just Mike. But this had a potential to be a really, really good matchup. And all the way through the entire weekend, I was following this one because Wood was up there. Malister was up there around 120 points again. The quarterback play here is outstanding. I think Mahomes and Newton have to be top 3. They're definitely top 5, but I want to say they're probably top 3 in scoring through the first 3 weeks. So that's paired with Barkley and some of the other guys he has here. Really, really good week. But again, he just go buy a tight end, man. They're not expensive. Not that he needed one for this matchup. I don't know if we'd even call it an upset at this point. I think he probably was favored, probably picked to win this matchup by most of us last week. But Tully is now, I think, 1-2. Yeah, 1-2. So not good on him. He's got some things to figure out, especially with his bench. He's got a bunch of points on his bench again. And I'll throw this out to you guys because I did this to Justin, aka Macers, in Star Wars. He was starting Deshaun Jackson, so I started Deshaun Jackson. He was starting Jimmy Graham. My tight end got hurt, so I bought Jimmy Graham. And I was just to match up here, and I'm just looking both of these have Sterling Shepard. Do you guys pay any attention to who your opponents start? I feel like Sterling Shepard probably should have been in the lineup for Tully, just to counteract Malister's Shepard.
No, not over any of these guys. I would not have sat anyone Tully sat for Sterling Shepard. Let's look back to
it would be close with Aguilar, wouldn't it?
Well,
he had a
back. No.
The thought about Indy, though, was that their number one corner was an undrafted free agent. So you're getting your all-pro quarterback back, and you're playing Indy in Philadelphia. So the thought is, yeah, we're only going to score 20 points, and it's going to be a under for a game. No, I mean, I was expecting this to be an over, and the fact that Aguilar is one of 2 active receivers on that team, every indication. Again, this is the week of how much do you really fucking know, Mike? Because I made all the wrong moves. But at the end of the day, and I got that in there early for you, Eric. So good for you. The game plan was obvious. It's the corners suck. Throw it to Aguilar because he can get deep, and he's been a target hog the first 2 weeks. And he goes for 4 for 24. And the real part of that 24 is when he hurled somebody for 8 yards. Seriously, Philly, fuck you guys.
Yeah, I don't think they threw. I don't even remember another wide receiver catching the ball. I think Matthews had 2 catches as well, and that was it. I think it all went to the tight end. Real weird game plan for Philadelphia.
Just a second. If you talked about canceling out Sterling Shepard, I think Tully tried to do that by putting in Evan Ingram. I mean, it was probably going to be a starting tight end anyway, but
right.
That's the reason that Shepard got any of those points was just that Ingram went down.
Right.
So if Ingram's in that game, Shepard is nullified.
He didn't pick Ingram to do that. His other tight end is Tyler Kroft, so that's not really a strategy.
But I mean, if he's looking at Sterling Shepard saying, "Do I need to cancel this guy out?" No, I've already got the guy on my team who.
Okay, I see. It would make sense to have two Giants in there.
Right, and I think
all the guys that aren't Odell Beckham.
Sure.
Right. So we'll move on. This one was another one. It was closer than I thought it was, but it wasn't close at all. But I was impressed that Brotherhood was able to. I don't know where his starting total is. I want to say he was around 100 points. Oh, there it is, 93. Yeah, so
106.
I thought that was what his
potential. Oh, okay.
So, this is an interesting. I like this screen. This is nice. It says the efficiency rating and all that other stuff on here. But yeah, so this will be. Oh no, it won't. I was gonna say this will be another one that'll benefit from Brad. This is gonna be a team that takes a hit because he drafted the wrong quarterback. Anyways, Greyjoy again, 141, so not quite, or 100. What was it? 131, so not quite 150. Larry Fitz, Tyreek, and Gronk again. Are you worried at all about Gronk? You don't really have another option at tight end here, and I think he had 2 points last week. He really only had 2 all the way through most of the game until like the final drive. Only put up 8 points.
Yeah, I think this is just, you dance with the girl you brought. I don't have another choice here, and he's by far the best option I'm going to have every single week of the season. So, yeah, I'll stick with it.
And again, at some point, the Patriots will turn it on, and Gronk is going to be a big part of that. It happens every year. There's always that game where, like, oh, God, are we finished? Is this the end of it? And things turn. So, again, if you want to panic, I'm happy to take Gronk.
I'll trade you all of my tight ends for Gronk.
I'm happy to do it.
All right.
I mean, I would give you Hooper and Kittle for Gronk. But again, I don't think you're going to do that because as soon as Gronk turns it on, Gronk smash.
Yeah. All right. So I'll do it. Maybe I'll phrase it this way. Are you more worried about your Gronk at tight end or figuring out your what options you're going to have as your last flex player? Because I'm looking here.
Yeah, wide receiver 2
and
or
wide receiver is looking. It's looking like a problem.
I'm excited about the prospect of Antonio Callaway with Baker Mayfield. If he can consistently get 10 targets a game, I'll be thrilled. And that at least lessens the sting. I don't know what happens with Josh Rosen once he gets control of that offense. Fitzgerald can't be worse than he's started.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually he's going to get, he has to get thrown the ball, right?
You would think. There's
I
not
haven't
that
been
many
watching Cardinals games. Has he been playing slot?
2 targets in week 3. Why? And I think they may have both been in the first drive of the game.
Well, Bradford in that offense is absolutely terrible. And I honestly don't think it's Bradford. It has to be this point coaching staff. And I think I started to talk with Mike about this last week that because we were talking about coaches on the hot seat. And this Arizona coaching staff absolutely has to be on the hot seat. Hopefully they put Rosen in and some things change. But terrible game planning, terrible use of David Johnson, terrible use of Larry Fitzgerald. He's probably, I don't know what his contract he signed, but he has to, with how things are going, he has to. This might be it for him. I can't imagine that he signs on for a second year of this type of shit next year.
I mean, I hate to say it, but what's the earliest you're allowed to fire a coach? Because this might be god-awful territory to the point where anyone who knows football can't accept this. You have one of the top 5 backs in the league, and you're not playing to his strengths. You have one of the greatest receivers of all time. And when I say that, I mean top 10. And you're not targeting him. You're not doing anything to the strengths of your players. What the fuck are you doing as our head coach?
Yeah, I don't know where that guy came from either. I'm trying to think of what team or what system he came out of, but it's terrible. And I also want to really quickly, because Greyjoy brought up Antonio Callaway, my doubles partner thought it would be a splendiferous idea to start Antonio Callaway in doubles, and it cost us the victory. I think I lost to Jeremy and Jordan by 8 points.
You did indeed.
And he started Antonio Callaway for 5 points. Over a lot better options, because trust me, there are options. Or we could have made something. If he didn't think he had options, I have a list of probably 6 or 7 wide receivers that I don't start, including Amari Cooper. He could have had one of those guys. Could have had somebody else. But anyways, let it be. That's what it is.
Your own partner. So
you can 3-way. So I can send it to Mike, Mike can send it to him, and then we give Mike a little something in between. And Mike's happy, I'm happy, Eric's happy.
Oh, yeah, Calvin Ridley.
There's been one thing that's been obvious in the 2 leagues in 2 years in Game of Thrones. With the Dornish 3-way. I love the 3-ways.
Speaking of, well, not really 3-ways, but
Geronimo too.
I was wondering how you were going to segue that.
Harding over Egan. Not gonna spend a lot of time on this one. This is a steamroll. Egan's gonna get steamrolled every week. He does have some better pieces than what he did before, but he still doesn't have any depth. And
he's got Baker Mayfield coming in.
Yes,
now.
He does have Mayfield coming in now, so we'll get a quarterback. It'll be interesting to see if he sets a lineup and gets Mayfield in there. But yeah, it's just a team that needs depth, and it's real funny because he's in WWE with Mike and I, and this week in our WWE league was our so all your players on your roster get points. So I'd put this in there like specifically for like Egan because I was like, so that rule is in there, and lo and behold, I look and he's like 3 or 4 or 5 dudes short, and he lost because he like just go add somebody for the week. Like if you don't want him for the week, cut him after. Like go win. Like so he didn't.
Exactly what he did with the Giants defense.
So it didn't work. Yeah, so it didn't work. But whatever.
Good.
So this this one was Harding, easily doubled up House Egan here. 98.1% efficiency for House Harding, with the only player that I think didn't score at or above projection being AJ Green. Really interesting that he's got Dak Prescott on his bench and is ruling out Flacco. I wonder how long that's going to take until that backfires on him. Not that I think Prescott's going to put up much better numbers, but you would think that Flacco is not. I think Flacco's actually had some decent. I have him in Marvel, and he's had 2 or 3 decent fantasy weeks here. So I'm sure there's darker, murkier waters to come with Flacco, and that puts him in a real weird spot because he paid a shit ton for Prescott, and I believe he paid a shit ton for Flacco, but I could be wrong.
No, I mean, and Flacco is not going to be a bad start for him for a while here. He's got Steelers, Browns, Titans, Saints, Panthers, Steelers, and none of those are defenses I'm worried about. Like, okay, I can't start a quarterback again. So if either of those things, I'm worried about Prescott. Flacco can be his QB2 until week 10.
Yeah, and he's totally Alex Smithing it up this year, playing like his job is on the line because it is.
Yeah, it literally is. He's playing for his next team right now, whereas Prescott is Lions, Texans, Jags, Redskins, then a bye, and then after week 9, it kind of opens up for him. So, with the exception of Redskins in week 12, he's kind of timed this pretty well with his 2 quarterbacks. Again, it's not like he did it on purpose, but through luck, that he starts Flacco until he goes on his bye. Then he starts Prescott with Eagles, Falcons, Skins, Saints, and then Saints, Eagles, Colts for the playoffs. Like that's not a bad playoff slate.
No, not at all. We'll move on to quick, not spending time on that one. House Royce and House Baelish, another one we won't spend a lot of time on. This was a steamroller. This was an easy win for House Royce, I think. It ended up being only 30 points difference. It was a lot closer, but Kirk Cousins played awful. Darnold played awful. Kenny Drake played awful. Royce still put up 100 points, which really sheds light onto how good his core of Zeke, Evans, Michael Thomas truly is. Baelish, I'm not sure what went on here. I haven't watched enough of these games or followed enough to understand why you're starting playing Gabbert or how he got 0.32 points. But just looking at your bench, your efficiency sucked this week. I think it's the worst in the league, 64%. Smallwood, you probably don't start. Jamison Crowder, I'd imagine you do start, especially when your team sucks and the team you're playing has Jamison Crowder.
It sounds like this, and I'm pleased we have potential points as the determining. But like you said, let's not spend too much time here.
Yeah, that's what I was like. This makes me like go. Do people still realize that it's by potential points and not whatever you said as your lineup?
Superflex and not 2 QB, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I said I don't know if like Gabbert was like supposed to start or didn't start, or if he started last week and he didn't. Oh, okay.
So yeah, Mariota's got an issue with his elbow right now. They're trying to rest him this week and let Gabbert go, but then Gabbert got Zangief spinny power drived into the turf and may actually be dead. So Mariota had to come in.
Nice. Okay, so Knights Watson Children's our next matchup here. Children won by 20 points. Really interesting. I was looking because Knights Watch, I had traded him, C.J. Anderson, Chris Carson, and some other pieces for my first back in David Johnson, and he is not playing either of the and Cohen, so he played Cohen at least. But he didn't play these other guys, and they scored 20, 30 points on his bench. He had Vance McDonald on his bench. Just a really weird tidbit. I did not watch the Pitt game or the Steeler game. I was too upset with how they've been playing that I didn't want to watch because I knew it was going to be terrible. I was on Xbox with Eric and George of House Bolton, and House Bolton was playing somebody in their hometown Dynasties League whose team was so bad that he started Vance McDonald against George and won with the 20-point game. So I don't know anybody other than that dude that started Vance McDonald, but if somebody out there started Vance McDonald this week, congratulations, because he came out in a big way. Yeah, so this Nice Watch team actually did pretty solid. G.D. Westbrook, Tyrell Williams really let him down. The rest of this, though, I mean, if he gets – you really only need 14 or 15 points apiece from each player, and he's got a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players in double digits there, and then he has a bunch on his bench. So, I mean, if he gets his lineup figured out, he actually could upset some of these teams. I don't know who they play. I think they play my division. So, yes, please get your lineup set and upset some of those teams. Not until later on. I think we play in winter. So when we play in winter, get your shit ready. Except for when you play me, you can set a really bad lineup. Eric and Dak Prescott. Is anybody concerned about Eric's team last week or last year? Where did he go? Undefeated last year in the regular season? 2-1 this week, or 2-1 this year. He won 2 in a row now. But Dak Prescott looks terrible. The rest of the team looks good. Carlos Hyde had a good week for him. I'm not sure you get 24 points from Carlos Hyde every week. But anybody worried about him potentially not having 2 premier quarterbacks?
I'm worried about him because I play him this week, and I'm down 1 quarterback for a bye week. So
that's right, bye weeks. All right, good. Sorry, I forgot about bye weeks.
Dak Prescott is actually going to be, if he's in his lineup, I'll be happy about that because that helps nullify the fact that I don't have a quarterback.
But who's he going to put in other than that right now? And he just moved Hyde for Devonta Freeman. So he's not playing for this year. So he's obviously putting Dak in. He's going to have to fudge another player in. Maybe he goes 2 tight ends and starts like Virgil Green or Ben Watson or something like that. But you're not worried about that. And the stuff about Night's Watch, look, yes, CJ and Carson had good games, but anyone who thought Carson was getting 32 touches for 102 yards hasn't watched anything Seattle this far. And the fact that he was averaging, 3 yards a carry is the other Carson owner. Even I'm not trying to sell based off of that. I don't have the salesman skills of Tyrell. And Anderson got 10 points on 3 touches. So what are you going to do?
Hey, I don't know. It's just I'm looking at D.D. Westbrook. That's all. I just don't know.
But D.D. you expect to get like the Paul Richardson line. Like Paul Richardson had 1 catch for 46 yards and 11.35 points. Like that's what you're expecting from D.D. Westbrook, and he had 3 for 31. So if I got to say who's going to have the better chance, maybe that's a coin flip between those guys. But no way do I say, okay, the coin flip of D.D. Westbrook getting, if I even know that D.D. gets 3 catches versus C.J. Anderson getting 3 touches, I'm always starting D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah. Maybe not C.J. Anderson, but at least Chris Carson. Who's more likely to score a touchdown, Chris Carson or D.D. Westbrook? I'd probably pick Carson, but
Chris Carson
that's just me.
Carson, who had 7 and 6 attempts in the last 2 weeks.
I have no idea what stat you just quoted, but yeah, sounds right.
How many attempts he got? How many rushes he got the last 2 weeks before this week?
I don't know. Seattle's not really in a good spot, but Rashad Penny.
The point we're trying to make is that you would not know.
I know. But I mean, it's not like who else are they going to run though? Like eventually, like somebody's going to have to run the ball. Rashad Penny's been absolutely terrible. Another Tyrell pump and dump, by the way. I'll wait for you, Tyrell, to explain to me what happens with Rashad Penny since you've been so up in arms about how good he was going to be and that you had to buy him as your 101 or 102.
When he loves a guy,
I'll wait on that. So I'll wait on that. White Walkers are free folk. this was actually really, really freaking close. 2 points here. Free Folk remains unbeaten. I don't know. I guess he's made it. So he's made a couple moves to secure this lineup up, because I'm sitting here going, why on earth is Corey Grant in this starting lineup?
He's starting all the grants.
Yeah. He has all the grants.
Yeah, Gordon's gone because of the trade. Ingram's suspended. Freeman's hurt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking like his team outside of the starting lineup really does not have very much depth. So if something happens to him, he's gonna be in trouble here, especially with trading away his first and second picks already. That gave away most of his firepower to come up and move a trade. So I mean, if something happens to one of his players here down the stretch, he's gonna probably made a move too early. But he did pick up, for those that don't know, he did pick up Emmanuel Sanders today for first and second. I would imagine Sanders replaces Corey Grant in the lineup.
He also picked up Carlos Hyde.
Yeah,
yes.
For Hyde.
He did pick up Carlos Hyde, so I don't know if I guess Carlos Hyde would have some. I guess both the Grants would go out. Corey Grant and Jakeem Grant go out of the lineup. Hyde and Sanders come in. So we'll see. We'll see how that works.
Gordon and Ingram are depth too, because Ingram we've exited enough, and Gordon will probably start playing next week. So,
right. I just think it's a lot to give up for a option to have it flex, because I'm not sure you start Emmanuel Sanders every week, and I'm not sure I'm really a fan of the Hyde and whatever for Devontae Freeman trade. I think the other pieces in the trade were unnecessary. Like, they don't matter, they have no value, so it's essentially Hyde for Freeman straight up. And I know Freeman's banged up, but when he's healthy, I'd rather have Hyde, especially we're talking long term here. If who's the other running back? If he leaves Atlanta and Freeman's the bell cow, Freeman's stock is only going to go up next year. But really impressive game from White Walkers. Drew Brees, 40 points. Adrian Peterson had a heck of a game. He's starting Jake Butt at tight end. Tyler Boyd had a massive week. Josh Allen had a massive week for him. So he's now got four quality quarterbacks. I've probably said this before, I don't remember, but you would think at some point he's probably got to sell a quarterback.
He's got to sell one at tight end now that Greg Olson's done. That's like his move. He's got to buy a tight end.
I mean, that or buy a running. He doesn't have a running back. He's relying on Adrian Peterson. So Adrian Peterson, Bilal Powell, and Alfred Morris are your running backs. Sell a quarterback for a running back. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Maybe he'll listen to that, because the rest of his team is coming together pretty nicely. Actually, he'll have Julian Edelman back from suspension here shortly. T.Y. Hilton at wide receiver. Tyler Boyd. I think I was looking on the top scorers page thing on MFL, and I believe Tyler Boyd's in the top 20 for scoring at the position. So Tyler Boyd, and I believe John Brown is there as well. So both of those guys, or John Brown might be top 30, not quite top 20, but both of those guys there. So he's got some depth at wide receiver. Obviously has a depth at quarterback, but really probably can position himself nicely to pick up a running back and then maybe grab a tight end if he wants to grab a tight end.
Full announcement. I've got 4 tight ends on the trade block right now, so come at me, boys.
Are any of them any good?
Hooper, Andrews, and Ian Thomas. So Andrews and Thomas are rookies that have promise. Hooper and Kittle are youth, but still, showing well.
There you go.
I'm sure Kittle will be fine with a new quarterback.
Are you saying the backup might target the tight end a little bit more?
It's his best friend, right?
Exactly. No, I mean, Beathard's going after the running backs. We'll touch on that later.
Yeah. All right, so the next matchup I have is mine. This one sucked. I started all the wrong fucking people.
Yeah, you made fun of Ham earlier.
No, I made fun of Baelish at 64%. Lucky me came in second at 68.3.
Shit.
I had some of these guys in, which really makes it mad. I swapped out Robert Woods at the last second. I swapped out Giovanni Bernard. I swapped out Alex Collins. So fuck that shit.
It sucks when your bench outscores your starters.
Yeah, it really does. So
your bench outscores your opponent.
Yeah, so for those that have no idea what's going on, we're on the screen that shows that my bench put up 141.5 points. My potential points, though, only would have been 137.99, which still would have won, but Targaryen's bench also played really well, so he didn't really start his premium lineup either. But this kind of gave me some insight. I thought, like, well, shit, this is going to be good. For the longest, this was close until Monday night, obviously. Who'd have thunk Ben Roethlisberger would have played well on the road finally when he's playing against me. Matt Ryan had 5 touchdowns, which he's actually had 2, I think, pretty good games in terms of fantasy, but he still can't help my fucking NFL GM's team win a goddamn game. But anyway, so I was hoping for Philip Lindsay to not have a really good week. I was hoping for Keenan Cole to not really have a good week. That happened. And I was hoping for Gronk to not have a really good week. That happened, and I still lost. But I think next time the thing comes through, this matchup, I think I'm going to be all right. I match up pretty well against this team. You take away Matt Ryan's 40 points, you cut that in half and give him 20. It's 107-95, and if I can set a goddamn lineup, then I'll be all right. So I like my chances the second time around.
Yeah, I'm playing this team next week, and I'm nervous as fuck because, yeah, Diggs put up 5, but he was averaging 20 the 2 weeks before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cole put up, 6? He was averaging 15 the 2 weeks before that. Lindsay put up 3 because he got ejected, but he was averaging 15 the 2 weeks before that. So, yeah, Ryan showed out, but the rest of this team still 4 points.
Right.
So this is one of those teams you got to aim for 150 if you're going to beat.
Yeah, I'm thinking at this point, I'm not sure how you can't, if you have somebody in Kansas City, how you can't start them. And then by somebody, I mean like Watkins, Hill, Hunt, Mahomes, those, and the tight end. I think you'd have to start him. So I think maybe Sammy Watkins finds his way into this lineup next week against you, Mike. But I will look. I can't get the damn scoreboard to load, so this doesn't tell me who has buys, but we'll figure it out.
So real quick, are we still worried about the offensive coordinator in Atlanta and their lack of offense and production?
I didn't know we were worried about him.
Yeah, I mean, I was after last year in week 1. It looked like it was same old because they were over targeting Julio, but it seems that he realizes he's coaching first job at this point and needs to switch things up.
And did he get less conservative because their defense is now a skeleton crew? They've lost pretty much everybody that is a starter.
Well, I think he's figured out that if Julio's on the field, he's getting doubled, and you have 3 other capable wide receiver or receiving options between Hooper, Sanu, and Ridley, as well as Coleman and Freeman out of the backfield. So if you've got 4 other options that are getting single covered and one person's getting double covered, throw it to the guy who's open.
Next matchup is House Swan and House Fell. This one was a hell of a surprise. Garoppolo, I knew he got hurt, but I didn't know he put up 22 points and then got hurt. So he had a good week. Kamara again. Galladay again. Ridley was massive, 38.75. Sanders again. George Kittle had a decent week. James White had a decent week. I am not that I wish like bad injuries upon anybody, but I am so happy that Garoppolo got hurt, and now she's moved to Emmanuel Sanders for picks, and it looks like she's actually gonna play for next year, because this scares you here for a second when you think that Bell's still on the bench and Brady had a bad week here. But it could also get really ugly really quickly. So I am happy. I do think she won that trade pretty heavily, the Emmanuel Sanders, for a future first and a future second. I think she did very well there. And then House Fell falls to, I believe, is he 0 for or is he 1? Yeah, 0-3. I don't know if he's got a chance now. I don't think there's any chance that he makes up digs himself out of 0-3 with the lineup he has. Amari Cooper, I don't know what's going on there. That can't be good. I'm officially worried about Amari Cooper along with probably a bunch of other people.
Welcome to the last 3 years, man.
So,
but he was hurt then. This is different.
I mean, he's never been, like, it's never been like this. Like, his 3.2 points might be like his high on the year. I'm not really sure. He might have had one good.
He had a monster week too.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's a problem. I don't even know if he started. Like I said, I'm not starting him in doubles, and I would have traded him to my partner there to fucking start Amari Cooper over Antonio Callaway. But it looks like Callaway outscored Amari Cooper this week. So good move, Eric.
So Lewis, you said this is good for you that Swan, looks like she's throwing in the towel, but the way she's been fucking nailing these draft picks, are you worried for next year with her having additional draft capital?
I don't know if it's more nailing than it is dumb luck. Kamara was no, it doesn't. But I'm still not really like, and I said this before about Ridley last week. I was like, I could be a fluke. Like, I'm not really sure. And of course, he put up 38.7 because I think Ridley's had his first catch last week and scored, and then now this. I'm not 100% sure you're going to get this out of Ridley every week. I don't think he's going to disappear, but I also don't think that he's going to be something that I'm really worried about. He doesn't become a problem until Julio Jones is out of there, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not worried about him being the dude until Julio Jones is out of there. Same thing with Kenny Galladay. I'm not really worried about Kenny Galladay being the dude until Golden Tate's out of there. Golden Tate's probably out of there at the end of this season. So next season, I'm more worried about Galladay than I am Ridley. But I don't know. I think she's gotten really lucky. And she's also – and it's probably because she's kept it really simple, because she's not like some of us like to overthink things or go for certain ways. She kind of goes, okay, I need a running back. Like, who's top on the run? And she just takes a running back. Or she goes, I need a wide receiver. I'm going to take the wide receiver. So regardless,
she's 8 draft picks in our rookie drafts. Kamara at 129, Galladay at 229, Matt Collins at 429, and George Kittle at 529.
Yep. And then she did some.
Calvin Ridley at 119, Equanimeous St. Brown at 319, Simi Cobbs at 519, and Akram Wadley at 527. So,
right.
She's, again, like Grader just said, between what Ridley has done thus far, Galladay, Kamara, and Kittle, hitting on your first and seconds are important. It looks like she's done that.
Right.
One of her 5 third or later round picks.
Yeah.
Right. But that's the whole thing though, is I think she's going to have to dedicate one of these first so she now has 2 firsts, 2 seconds for next year. I think one of those first, she's got to address the quarterback position. Not that it's by need, but like I just don't know how long you can – like, Tom Brady's good. He's really good. He had a bad week, and I'm not saying, oh, now Tom Brady's going to be done. But I realistically, how long is he actually going to be able to do this? It's probably smart when you're in a position where you're going to have 2 firsts and you're in a spot. Because I think we ran into that somebody super late scooped up Josh Allen. In Marvel, I think that was Ham and Marvel scooped up Josh Allen super late. And it was like, thanks, dumbasses, for letting him fall to me. So she could, if that happens there, I think she should probably use one on quarterback because her team's not bad enough where she's going to be picking at the top of a draft unless she makes some kind of like sporadic move. So I think a quarterback's probably in question first. She's to do that, but she definitely needs a running back. The rest of the team, though, is so old.
Running back with Kamara
has Bell on her.
Listen. I don't like Bell outside of Pittsburgh is going to be a nightmare. And sure. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a nightmare. They're going to have to a team is going to have to completely relearn how to block and relearn how to do things for him. And he's sitting out. He's gained weight. He's sitting out. So it's going to take him a while.
A team that has Kamara and Bell needs a running back.
Yes, she needs a running back. Because look what happens. If one gets hurt, if somebody gets hurt on this team, like, so you put in and put together her best lineup here. If somebody gets hurt on this team, she's like, there's nothing there. This is another team that doesn't have much of a bench.
You could say that about 90% of the teams in this league.
I don't think so. I think everybody else has most teams probably have 3 or 4 solid options that they can plug into a lineup.
She has a major injury and a guy sitting out, and she's still competing.
I don't know.
Next one here, I think we'll agree to disagree. What about Tyrell and Hightower?
I'm surprised Tyrell's 3-0, honestly. I don't know how it happened. I haven't been following it. Oops, I just clicked on something stupid. Matt Ryan helped him. Other than that, mediocre week to still put up 128 points. Tannehill had a big week, but everybody, I mean, Drake sucked. Thompson sucked. Aguilar sucked. Jordan Reed, I don't know if that's a suck or not.
Did anyone watch the Miami game? Like, how does Drake have 10 yards and they put up 28 points? I saw the 2 gadget plays, but really, your number 1 running back had 7 touches for 10 yards?
You mean like the running back in Tampa Bay?
That needs fixed. That's real bad. Tampa and
what did Barber have?
I think Sandy tweeted this out.
Yeah,
no, he's inactive. He's a healthy scratch. And Sandy tweeted about this, like when they marked Ronald Jones a healthy scratch. Is this what you're talking about? When you sealed the field, or am I talking about somebody else?
No, I was talking about Barber. I mean, he was active.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He was active. They didn't use him, and then they put Ronald Jones a healthy scratch, and Santy, like when they tweeted that out, Santy was like,
Barber,
what am I missing? What am I missing here? And they did the same thing last year. They drafted a running back. Everybody was like, oh, here we go, good spot, good thing. And that running back was McNichols. And they were like, yeah, we're not going to dress him. They eventually cut him. I don't think they're going to cut Ronald Jones, but there's something with the coaching staff there that with these running backs, if they can't develop them or can't figure it out, they need to quit fucking drafting them. Just go trade for one or go sign one.
Trade for them. Go get your first
right.
Helped me out in GMs because they gave Sean Wilson a bunch of touches.
I don't even know who that is, but shame on you for running that player. If I had a mute button, like on part of my what's the show, Around the Horn or whatever, part of my tick or whatever, if I had a mute button, I'd mute button you for saying that you started Sean Wilson.
It's GMs. It's best ball. You know this. Picked him up off waivers last week. He got 8 points.
I know, but I mean, still, what are the chances that you had him? So I don't know. Hightower is now 1-2.
1-2, really?
Yeah, 1-2. So that's probably a big surprise for a team that I think everybody had as a favorite to come out of the Fire conference. And now 1-2. I don't know where that puts him in his division. Probably towards the bottom. So not good things there. He benched Robert Woods again, and I think I usually tell him, "Why are you benching Robert Woods?" But I benched Robert Woods this week as well, so I can't really shit on him for that. But
yes, you can, because you didn't have to you didn't have to bench him over Deion Lewis and Chris Thompson. Like, seriously, you're playing Jacksonville. Deion Lewis is not a Jacksonville game script kind of running back. That's
right. Yeah, I don't.
And for that matter, Chris Thompson was playing. I mean, I guess you could think the Redskins were going to be playing catch up against Green Bay all day long, so they'd be throwing it to their.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Back. Yeah, and I guess, and to Lewis's point earlier, I mean, Tyrell was running Chris Thompson, so it negates that. So I guess there's an argument there. But I can't see starting. What's his? He's like a top 5 receiver so far this year, and you're benching him in a matchup against the Chargers for Deion Lewis.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And then I just looked at Tyrell's team because I was like, how the fuck is he 3-0?
Just don't blink or his roster will change.
Well, his bench too, 123 points on his bench. Now it's not touching my 147, but 123 points on the bench would have also beaten Hightower here. But there's some talent on the bench. Not enough that I think you start any of these guys. But George Allen, 17 points. Geronimo Allison, 15 points. Marvin Jones, 16. Goodwin 11. He's got some pieces here that I think that he might be able to actually. He's put himself in a position to sell these. I don't know who's buying all these guys, but Keelan Cole here, he paid a pretty penny for it, 7.75 points. He didn't even bother to start after giving me a data point, which only says that he was worth drafting into the NFL, and that is why he traded for that guy, because a piece of data told him that he'd be a good NFL or a good enough college wide receiver to draft in the NFL. So thank you for quoting data that is essentially useless.
But again, to your point, Lewis, here, I mean, look, Richardson got his one off of one reception. Wilson got his 2 touchdowns and 20 points based off of 1 pass and 1 catch.
Same thing with Cameron Brate, I think, too. Cameron Brate had 1 catch for a touchdown.
So, again, the 120 is a bit of a mirage.
And Tyrell has really put himself in a position here to pick the wrong lineup every week.
Yep. So we'll see how that goes. I'm just going because I did it. And now I don't think I'm going to be picking I think I've got it figured out. Robert Woods, I just never should have. The only thing I did, I had seen enough of Deshaun Jackson scoring 20, 25 points on my bench, so I swapped him. And I thought, oh, geez, Corey Clement, Noah Ajayi, Corey Clement's going to run the ball. He's going to catch the ball. It's going to be awesome. So he's a surefire starter. So I made sure he was in my lineup. And then when I went to put in Deshaun Jackson, so I was like, I'm not missing on 30 points again. The only other option I had was Robert Woods. So if I had just left my fucking lineup alone, it would have been fine. So I think I had my lineup right the first 2 weeks. I'm going to keep it the rest of the way out here, and we'll see. The next matchup I want to talk about
you?
Because somebody said something about me and the starting lineup. The problem was the starting lineup, and I sighed because I was like, motherfucker, I had 147 points on my bench. This next one, real interesting because I don't know if anybody's paid attention to this yet, but I've already started tracking Casimir for this year. This matchup's a Bulwer and Cockshaw, and House Bulwer is on pace to be Casimir for the second time. So we'll see how that goes. I think it's funny. It's a little laughable. And now he's got some injuries this year, but in terms of points per game and projecting over, the schedule, the win-loss, he's in line to be Casimir in the Fire Conference.
So again, we've got new ownership on Cockshaw, but does he actually move one of these quarterbacks for another piece is the question I've got.
No.
He's got 3 quarterbacks, obviously, between Fitzpatrick, Jameis, he's got Baker, he's got Deshaun. He's not there yet in terms of quality of players. Well, actually, maybe he is if Fournette starts, but maybe not beyond that. But I don't know. I'm rambling here.
It's another team that if he wants to compete, probably has to upgrade his tight end spot unless he's waiting for Greg Olsen to come back. Even then, I'm not sure Greg Olsen's the answer to your prayers.
No.
The team was solid. I mean, just theoretically until Olsen went down, especially since he has Yeldon to swap out for Fournette whenever Fournette's hurt. So,
and I think for anybody who thinks they're playing for this year, having 3 quarterbacks is a nice luxury. I mean. You can hang on to them as long as you feel you need to, and then when the iron's hot, you can strike. And at 2-1, I mean, he's got to stick with it.
Right. Well, and then he's also got a pretty good option, Teddy Bridgewater here as his other quarterback. So I mean, the quarterback position here is loaded. Again, why you have Jamal Charles is beyond me. Why you have I guess Corey Coleman's okay, but why you own Jamal Charles is beyond me. I don't know. What's going on with that and some other teams that do similar things. But, I'd be interested, maybe you try to sell Winston and, just try to pull an over on somebody, be like, hey, he's coming back, he's going to play, or Fitzpatrick can't keep this up forever. And if you kind of sell Winston and Winston doesn't see the field this year, that's just an interesting scenario to see get played out here. But I doubt any moves get made. But we'll see. Santi and Bank are the next matchup. I don't know who won. Bank won. That puts Santi at 1-2, and Bank at. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. Are you 3-0? There you go. So Bank at 3-0. with a really bad Brady, a really bad Latavius Murray. I thought that was an interesting move that you made, so maybe you could talk about that for a little bit. And not really bad, but I mean, just compared to the rest of the lineup here. And then Stephon Diggs had a bad week for you. Trying to think. Yeah, so Funchess was the player you subbed out here, and of course Funchess scored. I think I checked it on the chat when I saw Funchess scored, and I was going to be like, hi, hey, Mike, there's Funchess, but you were already like, hey, haha, Mike, fuck me, there's Funchess. So that's all. That always seems to happen. One of those things where you're like right before lineup submission, you make a trade, and for somebody you swap the player out, the player you swap out has a good week.
So again, the player I swapped was Chase Edmonds. So for Murray, and Cook's issue right now is a hamstring injury. So he's had knee injuries before, and as results of strain being different on knees, hamstrings can sometimes be a problem, and those problems tend to definitely linger. So my thought was, again, Murray. Look, I lost my survivor pool. I lost all sorts of shit because I doubled down on the fact that Minnesota was going to open up a can of whoop ass on Buffalo and was wrong. So clearly I'm paying for that here, but I'm going to make the very hot take and say this is not going to be the only game that Dalvin Cook misses this year. So to trade a guy I took in the third round whose value only exists if DJ gets hurt, or a guy whose value only exists if the running back in front of him is hurt, oh, and by the way, he's already hurt.
Right.
I think that had to make sense. So putting the trade made sense.
Right.
But the putting him for Funchess again. Funchess is getting the targets. Like I said, it was part of my my Sunday of all the wrong moves, and at least this one didn't burn me as bad.
Yeah, and so maybe I need to clear that up a little bit. I don't have a problem with the move. I like the move. I think it's a fantasy relevant player for a fantasy relevant player. Just with the state of your team, I wasn't sure that it was I'm gonna start this guy now. Like I didn't think he really needed Davis Murray to win this week. And you didn't, so it doesn't really matter. But Santy's over here. I have Santy next week. I was kind of hoping to get an Emmanuel Sanders deal done, but the first and the second for Swans, Sanders was the one I was trying to get because I was trying to match up with Santy's lineup here as I already have Lamar Miller and Alex Collins. I was hoping that the only other really player I was worried about was Emmanuel Sanders. So I was hoping to grab Sanders, but that deal went through, and there's no way I'm paying a first and a second for Sanders. So we'll see. Santy's got a decent team, probably right around 100 points. I got him next week, so hopefully I beat him, and he goes to 1-3, and gives you some pretty good separation in that division because I believe Sand Snakes is not won, and I don't know who else is in your division. Because they are a fat bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I hope he listens to this. Everybody else is playing FIFA, Matt, while you are sitting there waiting until it releases on Friday because you don't know how to manage 10 hours. Anyways, so that's the next matchup, Faceless and Sand Snakes. Good Lord, Sand Snakes finally had – I don't know. Did I say – I guess I keep forgetting that he had two quarterbacks to begin with for this season. But good luck. You're in trouble. Bradford down the drain. Keenum had a bad week. I don't know what this team's doing. I don't have a clue. It's gonna get real ugly real quick. And I think I said that at the start the season. And Mike, you know, with him being in your division, I think you were a little bit more concerned about his team winning games than I was because I just saw a dumpster fire coming, and I believe it's here.
Well, again, let's look at the team real fast. Bradford, I don't know if anyone anticipated him falling apart this fast. I think he put up a total of 10 fantasy points in 3 games this year. Bell not playing because he's sitting out. McCoy not playing because he's injured. Williams not being startable. Let's see, further down. Again, this is a team that looked like it had the running back depth, like we talked about last year. It had the running back depth to put up 60 on you every week as a good floor, and now only one of those running backs is starting. And then he's always replaced players on the cheap and never had to invest big capital, so that allowed him to combine up to get Julio for Jarvis Landry. But again, that's not quite enough. So it's a question of, and again, this is why I'm nervous about this, because Sam Snakes always does this. He's going to move like a second and a third for Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Fitzpatrick's going to be starting for the rest of the year. So that's the kind of move he's going to make and get himself a second quarterback, and I have to worry about him again because he's done that every time. It was like last year McCown and gave him the starts he needed. And the year before that, I forget who the quarterback was, but he did something similar and gave him the starts that he needed. So, bad week, but I'm not saying that Sam Snakes is out of the conversation.
It's a bad 3 weeks. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be as worried about him trading for a pick. I think the league as a whole has seen the number of trades go down, or at least the number of trades across a variety of owners go down. I think right now it's kind of, for the last couple of months, it's only been a handful of owners actually trading. So I think the ones that have Fitzpatrick are less likely to move him than if he was on your or my team or somebody's team that realizes that you have a window of opportunity here to sell him while he's worth something. So I'm not too concerned about that. But yeah, it could get ugly quick here. And I think it's funny, and I'll comment on this real quickly, and then we'll move on because I don't know how many more games we have to talk about. But your division was talked about as the three-way. I now think you're in a tier by yourself, and there's nobody close. I think at the end of last year, I had the teams ranked a little bit differently. I think I had it as I had Faceless up and coming. I had Sand Snakes in the middle somewhere with the potential to really come up and compete with you if he can figure out the quarterbacks. And then I had Santy at the bottom. But Santy has made some minor moves this offseason that really kind of put him in a really, really good spot, starting with the trade down during the draft to pick up the extra pick and signing Michelle. But anyway, so I think you're up in that top by yourself now. I think Santy's clearly in second place there. Faceless and Sand Snakes are towards the bottom. I'd probably have Faceless over Sand Snakes now because it's just a younger roster. But Faceless is now in a position where he's only going to have one quarterback, and that one quarterback is Mitchell Trubisky, and that's not good. So Faceless started this league with a QB problem. He now has another QB problem, and Sand Snakes as well. So I think 3 weeks in, I'm just going to call it that the division is yours. Book it, send it in. See you in the playoffs.
I might come to Pittsburgh and stab you if you just jinx me.
All right, mail it in, send it in. Heard it here first. Iron Bank in the playoffs out of Essos and Dorn. So Payne and Lannister. I believe Lannister is also undefeated, 3-0. Relatively easily. I don't think Payne is again a team that's trying to compete this year. He made a real fucking weird trade. He actually probably would have beat Lannister had he kept Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan and Luck probably would have been enough. Matt Ryan's 40 points, 35.
Yeah, Matt Ryan would have been enough because Matt Ryan had
Yep, 40. Yep. So Matt Ryan would have been enough we'll get the win this week. Would have put Payne at 2-2, but he made what I guess you'd call a rebuild move. I don't know how else you explain that. Nick Chubb starting, not good. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. Teams probably it's not as bad as it looks on paper. The team's actually got some value, but in terms of winning games, it's not there yet. This has like the makings of a house bullware.
Moving on.
Oh, thank God! Last one: Bainfort and Casserly. Casserly at 0-3. Probably because he has Carson Wentz. So now that Wentz is back and ready to go, I foresee him getting a handful of wins. But this is another one where made some really big moves in the offseason. They've backfired. He picked up Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's got hurt, hasn't played. He picked up somebody else. He moved Robert. He traded Robert Woods away. He picked up Ajayi. So he's made some moves in the offseason that just really have backfired, putting him at 0-3. It'll be interesting to figure out if he's just going to kind of take that 0-3 and take it to the bank and get another high pick, or if he's going to try to compete. And then Bainfort. Even with the bad
tight
play,
ends. That's fucking hilarious.
I don't know why the fuck is he doing that?
Because everyone else is hurt. Fournette's hurt. Jeffrey's hurt.
Yep. Ingram just got hurt, so that'll be interesting. So, holy crap. Yeah, so we'll see. That'll be interesting.
Did you notice that he reset his trade bait recently? I wonder why.
Yeah, but I think didn't it say it needed a tight end? I could be wrong. Maybe that might be
a different one.
Needed a tight end.
He definitely needs a tight end.
So yeah, I guess he doesn't need a tight end. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he doesn't really. He has some pieces, but I don't think he has enough pieces to trade up. Like he's one of those guys that always wants to trade up, and at some point, like you either hit the floor with your players, like there's nowhere to go up, or like it's very limited audience in terms of who's going to trade up for some of these pieces. Like I don't think anybody's going to trade you for Will Dissly other than like a third. Maybe a third might be the highest thing you get out of it. You probably aren't like going to get a fourth or fifth for Will Dissly because someone's going to be like, you got him on the waiver wire last week. And that's who he's trying to trade to people. Some of these other guys, it'll be interesting. I don't know. He's going to have to essentially have an overpay if he wants to trade up at this point. Like he's going to have to package Jeffrey and Mac and probably Devontae Parker and trade up for something that's whoever's on the top of your list there. I don't know. I would think that it's Jeffrey. Maybe get someone that's marginally better than Jeffrey, but it's probably going to take you all three of those pieces to trade up at this point.
And how do you trade up if you don't actually let the offer sit? It's, how does a Bainfort make a trade if the offer is not there for more than 5 seconds?
There's some that sit there for a while. I have to imagine. I don't know how else he would get any deals done. Maybe he like falls asleep or forgets about them, or I have no idea. But or someone just counters it and he snap accepts. But I don't know. So that gets us through this week. I don't know how long we've been doing this. Probably long enough. So I don't know if we really need to outlook next week. But we can if you guys want to. I'll leave that up to you.
Let me just take a look and see if we've got any that really jump out to me. Me versus Targaryen, I think it's going to be a hell of a match. I'm nervous, but I think it should be close. Hardy and Forrester is going to be another good one as well. Forrester's losing Peterson and Reed on bye, but I think has at least some depth to keep it close if McCoy comes back, and potentially with Jimmy Graham. But anyway, that'll be a good match. Reed will roll over Baelish. Let's see. Any others that jump out?
Greyjoy and Children should be pretty good.
Yeah, that one scares me.
I don't think Greyjoy.
We'll see what Children's lineup looks like if he's making trades. I was not favoring.
I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that he makes a trade. Week 4 buys, I just looked because I was curious, is Carolina Panthers, Washington Redskins. Probably Peterson's the only one on the Redskins, that unless you have a quarterback. But I think Alex Smith is owned by White Walkers, who has 4. The other one is owned by somebody else that I think has multiple. I could be wrong. So not really worried about anybody in the Redskins on a bye week. Panthers is going to probably be the more problematic team on a bye. You're going to lose Cam Newton, and that's House Mallister, which is significantly is going to take a blow because he doesn't have the depth to plug somebody in that spot. So he's probably going to be down 30 points. He's been about 120. I probably doesn't make it to 100 without Cam Newton. And then I don't know who has the other Cam Newton, probably Greyjoy.
Yep,
right?
that's me.
Yep, so that might hurt you. So now I see why you're probably worried about so that probably makes sense. And then the Christian McCaffrey owners, I don't know who that is. Tully, possibly, and then I don't know who has the other one. But yeah, so I could see now why you're a little fearful because Cam Newton has been absolutely amazing these first 3 weeks this year.
Yeah, and you just can't replace that. He's been 25 plus points a week, and it's been awesome to have. Right now, I've got Callaway and Dion Lewis in my lineup, and hope for the best. Get a home run here or there.
You could always trade House Spawn for Tom Brady. I believe Tom Brady is on her trade bait.
I don't know if I can afford him. He's too pretty.
Well, and that's the thing though. Like she changed the thing, and so I was just like, "Here we go again." And I think Mike did the same thing. I was like, "Here we go again." She actually made a move, in a big way that says, "I think I'm playing for next year." And if that's the case, I could see her just kind of. She probably, just from the makeup of her team, probably does not going to. Bell is not. I think a lot of people have been trying to get Bell off her. I don't think Bell is going to be the player she trades.
Nope.
I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be the player she trades. I think she's going to take those two players, stash them, go, okay, I'm just going to treat Bell like he's on IR. Garoppolo is going to be on IR. I have Delaney Walker on IR already, so there's 3 pieces for next year. I'm not going to trade Kamara, so there's a 4th, and she's not going to trade any of her young wide receivers. So I think the odd man out there on to get pieces to build for next year would be Jordy Nelson and Tom Brady. So I could see her either trading Tom Brady for a quarterback and something, or trading Tom Brady for picks and using one of those picks to draft a quarterback next year. But so I think that's it. I think we've been at this for too long. It's probably about an hour now. So I haven't heard from Jeremy in a while, nor have I looked at the screen to see where all you are. So I hope Jeremy is still with us. He might have fallen asleep. It's a little late for him. So what? Is it a movie or a TV series? What TV series came back tonight or this week that is so important that you could disappear for an hour without anybody noticing?
I think she's watching the NCI, whatever that one is.
FBI?
No, the Navy.
NCIS came back today? Nobody told me.
Did anyone watch the Magnum PI premiere?
She actually might be watching that right now. She recorded that.
You can't watch that. He has no mustache.
It's in the trunk. He keeps it in the Ferrari at all times.
Very, very,
very nice. All right, so I think that about wraps things up, unless anybody else wants to talk about anything else or has anything else to add. No? Yes? No.
Just
Mike, go ahead. Quick. Oh, Jeremy, my bad. Go ahead. Not Jeremy. Holy shit. Fred, Travis, Mike, Jeremy, go ahead, whoever.
Yeah, so the one thing I wanted to add in today was I put together division records for everyone in the league because we are now halfway through our 3rd season of division games, and some things jumped out. There's in the ice conference, Forrester and I have a 12-3 record against our division. After us is Free Folk at 10-5 and Children of the Forest at 9-6, House Royce at 9-6. So these are the teams that in the short number of games that we've had have been kind of dominating against their own division. Harding and Tully are surprisingly 8-7.
Well, Tully went 0 for.
Tully and Harding both went 0 for their first seasons.
Right.
So yeah, for them to have come back now and be from 0-6 back to 8-7 is fairly impressive. And on the fire side, Targaryen is just kicking ass.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Has he lost? Has he lost yet?
14-1.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
And somehow quietly, and I think it's because he's at the bottom of the list every time we do these podcasts. Lannister is 12-3 against his division, and it seems like he's unheralded. Just keeps doing it, week in and week out. Terrell is 11-4.
He's playing against Payne and Casterly, and Casterly is relevant for a year.
And previous winner Baneford.
Baneford was really bad though the first year.
The first year. Yep.
And then Clegane was pretty bad the first year, and Casterly was okay the first year.
Yeah.
Coming back the second year, he probably lost to Baneford twice.
Terrell is 11-4. Iron Bank is 10-5.
Yeah, I was just gonna think I'm 10-5.
Yep. Baneford.
What am I?
Who?
What am I?
House Dondarrion has tied for the worst record.
No, seriously?
You're 4-11 overall.
Oh shit!
Well, technically, Dondarrion is only.
I think I beat Swan 3 times.
There are 4 teams that are 4-11, including House Reed.
Hey, buddy.
Yep. Sneaky Snakes, Hightower, and Banefort are all 8-7, and we actually have 18 of the 32 teams have a sub 500 division record at this time. So it's not quite half. It's more than half the teams have a
and half the podcast crew is
right.
So what I'm saying
Perfectly
is,
balanced.
Hey, listen, I went 2-1 this year, so I got half of my. That's right? I only have half. So I got half of my wins this year. So that's all right. I went 0 for last year. So
Technically,
that's okay.
and I mean when you do that intentionally, it skews things.
Right.
Uh,
That's
so
cool.
the last thing I want to add is overall wins in the history of the league at this point. House Forrester with 27, Iron Bank with 26, Free Folk with 25, Terrell with 25, Children of the Forest 24, Greyjoy 24, House Swan 22, Targaryen 22.
What do I have? 7?
Who are you? 10. Yes.
Hey.
10 overall.
Yeah.
Yes. What is it? What are we up to now? And this includes playoffs, by the way. So if you had a playoff game, your results may be skewed.
So who has the most wins? Forrester. So either Forrester lost next week and a Mike win next week. So Mike is tied at the top.
so wait, how many did you say I have?
25.
Iron Bank has 26 wins overall.
26. There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I thought you said I had 22. I'm like, wait a second, I count 24 without the playoffs.
Yep.
Yeah. Not a playoff team then. 24 regular season wins, only 2 playoff wins. You're the Cincinnati Bengals.
Hey, I missed the playoffs the first year. I'm sorry. So, hold on. So 15, 24. I should have 25 because I have one playoff win and I lost in the Fire Championship last year.
Oh, okay. All right. Very interesting. So Jeremy disappeared. Oh, no, he's back. So
House Reed has 15 total wins in the history of the league.
Oh, shit. He's got 5 more than I do?
You've got a long way to go, buddy. That's what 3 years of being mediocre will do for you, as opposed to 1 year of being shitty.
$20 down at the end of the year. I'll have more total wins than House Reed.
I would take that bet if I was House Reed.
Hey, you'll have more wins than me this season?
No, total. So after this season, I will have more total wins.
He's going to make up 5 wins on you this year.
And we have, 11 games left?
So he has to make up 4 more wins this year.
I'll take that
5 more wins this year because he's got to be more than you.
Let me look at my team again. I don't remember what I had.
Oh, boy. Oh,
guys Green Bay Packers.
That would be outstanding.
He's like, it's too late. I just want to go to bed, clean, hang up. So on that note, on Jeremy's behalf, I'll thank the viewers, thank the listeners, thank the podcasters, thank his wife for letting him sneak away. Feels like it's been forever since he's been here. Other than that, good luck in week 4, everybody. We are, which is amazing because it felt like it took forever. Well, not really took forever for it to get here. It went by really quick this offseason, I think. But now we're like a quarter of the way through our regular season. Or is that right? A quarter? 33. Probably 33% of the way through our regular season after this week. So, 33%. I fixed it. So 33% of the way through the season here, which is
14 games,
which is absolutely. Well, I mean, regular season is 12, but 12 weeks, but it's doubled, right? Right, Jeremy? Just say yes.
Do you count that? We don't count that. What?
Math is hard.
Yeah, I don't know. Regular season is 12 weeks, so we're on week 4. So no, it's a third of the way through the league. There we go. I must do it again. This is why I don't teach math.
A quarter, 25%.
We're not 25%.
We are.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes,
12.
yeah. Yes, we are. We're 25% of the way through the league. All right. So
say good night, Gracie. Good night.
With that, good night, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time.